Ilia Topuria, guys. I do not know that I could like a person less. And I mean a type of person. I've never met Ilia. But it's a type of guy, right? Have you seen this guy? Huh? Have you seen this guy? This is the kind of guy where Brendan Schaub and Luke Rockhold look over and go, "God, that's a good-looking guy," right? And then his girl comes on, and she's like out of a magazine, and then I find out he's undefeated. By the way, he's a main eventer. By the way, speaking of remaining undefeated in main events, he just got a guy that fought for the world championship. Like, what's up with Ilia Topuria? Come on! And do you guys know who this is? By the way, I just did Ariel. I'm sorry, I'm reaching over here. I'm excited. I was just doing Ariel's show, and I get a high from that. I get. Ariel brings things out of me, and it's always combative, but I really do like him. I truly do. I get worked. I'm sweaty over here coming and talking to you guys. Ilia Topuria is Mr. Water Bottle. Yeah. Do you remember that? Do you know what I'm talking about? Ariel, who if MMA was Jeopardy, he's going to win. He's going to beat it's going to come down to Ariel and Zach Candido, all right? And all of Earth. And Ariel forgot this. This is why I think maybe you guys did. Mr. Water Bottle. I'm leaving it there. Okay, all right, is it Patty the Batty? It was Patty's second fight. And it was his second fight in England. The second fight in England would be third fight overall? Fourth fight overall? I don't have to have those fun facts, right? I'm not doing Jeopardy. I'm just trying to impress you with the timeline because Patty goes to sign his UFC posters. And they have a videographer there. They got a little camera. And this isn't like an Aria Alexa. So this is a little camera. You can go get them at Best Buy. It's going to cost you a pretty penny, but it's a little camera. It's got a microphone, and it's a one-man show. You can go back. You can edit. You can do it later. Somebody's following Patty around. Well, when Patty gets in there, something happens with Ilia Topuria. And they end up throwing water bottles. And I want to say Patty even hit him with one. He hit him in the head with a water bottle. Or Topuria threw it at Patty. But then Patty came out and named him Mr. Water Bottle. And he did that because he didn't know his name. And if he did know the name, he didn't know how to pronounce it. You want to know how I do that? I just referenced Zach Candido a moment ago. I called Zach Candido yesterday and said, how do I pronounce Ilia Topuria's name? And he sent me a phonetic spelling and an audio clip. Ilia Topuria, that's exactly right. It's worth knowing, right? We don't call him Mr. Waterball anymore. We do not call a main eventer Mr. Waterbottle. We don't call an undefeated main eventer Mr. Waterbottle. And I remember when Patty was barking at him because Patty appeared to be protected. Now, I don't think those things about Patty anymore. I misunderstood Patty the Batty at one point. I do not misunderstand him anymore. But it did appear to me at that time like he was being protected. He was a big draw. He had a funny haircut. You know, he's in a sport that requires wrestling, and he's from a country that doesn't have wrestling. This isn't rocket science. Put him with the right guy, sell some tickets, squeeze it a little bit, and we'll move on to the next Khamzat Chimaev. Like, this is what this business is. And so I go and I look up Ilia Topuria, and I see, man, this son of a bitch is like, I thought he was 12-2 at the time. Ariel told me he must have been 12-0. Ariel told me he's never lost. So, and I remember thinking, they're not going to put him together. This guy's too good. And Topuria was hot. Topuria wanted that fight. He was slighted. He was disrespected. How can you let someone throw a bottle at me? How could you let something like this happen and then not let me answer for it? Right? This isn't school here. This is Topuria talk. I'm not in a construction site. I'm in a job where we fight. This person did this to me. Let me fight him. And he couldn't get it. I mean, he couldn't even get off the ground. Ilia Topuria was never going to get off the ground. Not with somebody like Patty the Batty. That's what a difference a day makes. Topuria is now a main eventer. Patty the Batty's done a lot of things in this sport. He hadn't main evented a show yet. They have a very different conversation about who's where, right? It could be straight up audience pop, or it could be 14-0, who's closer to a championship, and one guy just beat a former contender. I'm just saying it's a very different spot. And I don't predict for you they're going to make that fight. I'm trying to tell you who Ilia Topuria is. I'm trying to tell you a story that I know that you're familiar with. But you might have forgot it. And you might have forgot it because you never knew it in the first place. Mr. Water Bottle, now Mr. Main Event, according to Ariel, is Mr. Undefeated, which might make him Mr. Number One Contender.